Hi guys, today we are going to work on finding the key details and main ideas of each section of our story, Habitats Around the World. Remember, the main idea is what the section is mostly about, so it shouldn't be too hard. We're going to go through each section together, and then at the end of it I'm going to ask you to see if you can come up with some of the key details on your own. So this is the paper we have to work with. It's a PDF in your Canvas. And it already lays out each section for us. It starts with the introduction. We have Welcome to the Grasslands, and then there's Welcome to the Tundra. That's the first half of our story. So I'm going to pull out my booklet. I've also included PDFs of the pages of our book if you don't have your booklet at home. We've already highlighted our vocabulary words, so we are now just going to look for the key details. Let's read the introduction. A habitat is a place where animals and plants live in nature. There are different kinds of habitats around the world. Some habitats are flat places with a lot of grass. Some habitats are always cold. Some get a lot of rain. Some habitats are even under the water. Different animals and plants live in different habitats. Let's explore a few habitats. So we can annotate in our text. Make sure that you're doing so. I like to underline some of the important parts. And I think it's important that our text has given us the definition of the word habitat. So that is important. And we also learned that there are different kinds of habitats around the world. And we learned what lives in habitats, that different animals and plants live in different habitats. So according to our introduction, we are going to learn about habitats. So that is going to be our main idea. And I'm writing just a sentence that summarizes all of that. I wrote, different plants and animals around the world live in habitats. And so for our key details, we can use those three things that we underline. Here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. So I'll just use what I underline and kind of just do a quick note. A habitat is a place where plants and animals live. They are all over the world. And different plants and animals live in different habitats. Running out of room a little bit. You can just write down short little notes. I wrote a place where plants and animals live. They are all over the world, and different plants and animals live there. So each habitat is a little different from the other. Our next section is called Welcome to the Grasslands. So let's review what that section was about. A grassland is a one-of-a-kind habitat. Grasslands are found all over the world. Only the South Pole does not have one. Grasslands are what they sound like. They are lands covered with grass. Many other plants and flowers live there too, but only a few bushes and trees. Most grasslands are flat. They cover thousands of miles. Grasslands in Africa are called savannas. A savanna has a long, hot, dry season. Animals leave home each year during this season. They leave to find food and water. A rainy season starts after the dry season ends. The animals go back home after the rainy season. The rains allow new grass to grow. The animals eat the new grass there. It is also rainwater to drink. So, if I were underlining some important facts, I would say that when they defined what a grassland was, I think that's important. They are lands covered with grass, so I'll just number that as my first detail. I also learned that grasslands are flat. That's important, because I now know they're not mountainous. They don't have a lot of hills. And I learned that a savanna is what a grassland is in Africa. We also know that animals find grass and water to eat in these grasslands. So animals find food there. So I'm going to use what I underlined as my key details. So we can add those in. I started with number 1. Grasslands are lands covered in grass. Grasslands are flat. And savannas are grasslands in Africa. If I were thinking of the main idea of this section, I would combine these into one sentence that tells me what I learned about grasslands. So I think the main idea would be that grasslands are large, flat areas of land covered in grass that animals eat. So the main idea of this section is about grasslands, where the introduction was about habitats. Now our next section is called Welcome to the Tundra. Let's find that in our booklet. It's on page 21. Get it to focus a bit more. The tundra is a habitat that gets very cold. I'm going to underline as I read. This to me is an important fact. It's different from the other 2 habitats we just read about. The world's tundras are located near or at the South and North Poles. Those are the 2 coldest places on Earth. The largest tundra is called the Arctic tundra. It is near the North Pole. The Arctic tundra covers nearly 14% of all land on Earth. The temperature can be as cold as -34 degrees in winter. The Arctic has a short summer. Temperatures can rise then to about 18 degrees Celsius. In the winter, even the ground freezes. In the summer, the top layer of soil thaws. Then plants and flowers grow. Polar bear, foxes, seals, and oxen all live on the Arctic tundra. So I think something that's different about this is that in winter, the ground is frozen. And in the summer, it thaws just a bit to have plants and flowers grow. And I also learned what kind of animals live there. Polar bears, foxes, seals, oxen. Okay, so let's see if we can come up with a main idea. We know this section was about the tundra. And so I'll summarize those key details into one sentence. Animals live in the cold tundra, which only has plants in the summer. So what I would do now is go back and use what I've underlined as my 3 key details to go with that. My first one was the tundra is a habitat that gets very cold. And then I also wrote about the winter and then the summer having plants and the animals that live there. So you could go back in and fill in those key details in this section. You can really work either way. You can decide what the main idea is first and support it with the key details, or you could decide the key details and then see what our main idea is about. Whichever way makes sense to you. And also, your words may not be the same as mine, as long as it's the same point. We know that this is habitats, this was about grasslands, and this is about the tundra. Let's look at these 3 questions before we move on. Which sentence from the section, Welcome to the Grasslands, tells where grasslands can be found? A grassland is one type of habitat. B, they are lands covered with grass. Or C, grasslands are found all over the world. Well, all of these things are true, but the question was, where are grasslands found? And so C answers that question. Grasslands are found all over the world. On this next section, it just tells us about the rainforest, the coral reefs, and then the ending. So for this part, I have come up with the main idea for you, which you can fill in on your own paper. Welcome to the rainforest. I wrote, trees and plants stay green all year in a hot, rainy rainforest. So your job would be to go through and look at this section and see if you can come up with 3 points, 2 or 3 points, key details that support that main idea. We're looking for trees and plants that stay green all year in a hot, rainy rainforest. So let's read it quick and see if we can do that together. Nearly 1/3 of the planet is covered in forest habitats. There are many different kinds of forests. A tropical rainforest is hot and rainy. The temperature averages about 23 degrees Celsius. A lot of rain falls. A tropical rainforest can have up to 1,016 centimeters. Oops, let me turn the lights back on. There we go. We need you guys here to keep them on during the day. Trees and other plants stay green all year long. I'm going to use that to help me later, because that was part of my main idea. And that was it. So maybe I just have 2 key details to help me support that main idea of this section. Let's look at the next 2. For the main idea of the coral reef, I have tiny ocean animals called corals form reefs that are home to other living things. See if you can look through that section and find details that support that. Tiny ocean animals called corals form reefs that are home to other living things. And then look at the next section about the conclusion. My main idea here is, what is your opinion of the 4 habitats? Because if you remember, it goes through each 4 and it asks which one you like the best and if you would live in one of those. So see if you can come up on your own with some key details to support those main ideas. and then take a shot at the questions below. When you're finished with your paper, you may submit it to your teacher. Great working, guys!